So I call these years my amazing childhood, because I really did. I had an amazing childhood. I had freedom. I had the ability to just fly. We lived in Fort Rucker, Alabama when David was born. And one of my most early memories was the day that my grandmother died, my Nana, my mom's mom. And I remember walking into the bedroom where my mom was laying on the bed crying, and she was very, 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 very pregnant with my brother. And I sat down next to the bed and I started crying with her, and I got her some tissues. And then I learned that Nana had died. And then I found out later on that my mother wasn't able to go to the funeral because she was so pregnant. And so she couldn't even go to the funeral of her mother. I cannot even imagine. They were really, really, really close. So that was one of my first memories ever, was when my Nana died. Another memory I have from Fort Rucker was that I cut my finger. And I still have the scar. Yeah, right there. I think that a pastor had come over to talk to my mother about her mom dying, and that I was a brat and I wanted a popsicle. And so I went into the freezer and I got a popsicle out and I got a steak knife out and I started cutting it. And then I cut myself, and my mom's meeting with the pastor was over because we had to go to the hospital and put stitches in my finger. And I remember always feeling so guilty when I realized all this later on, because she didn't get a chance to talk to that pastor more. And I'm sure she was grieving about her mom. So yeah, that's an early memory. And another memory I have in Fort Rucker is I stepped on I had my first bee sting. So all three of those first memories were pain. That's interesting. But I stepped on a bee and it was dead and it stung me. And that was one of my first memories. Then we moved to Alaska. Alaska was outstanding. I started school there, and we had this tiny little place that had a basement and a living room and an upstairs, and it snowed a lot, obviously. And in the wintertime, we'd make snow tunnels, and that was awesome. And they would sometimes fall on us, but we had fun. And we went sledding, and we went skiing, and we had this great elementary school with all these windows. And one day, a bear came down from the mountainside and went on our playground, and all the kids went running inside, and we watched that bear. I'm sure the teachers were like, okay, break time. And we just all watched the bear on our playground for like an hour. It was awesome. And in the summertime, we would play and play and play and play and play. I mean, we would play for hours outside. And one of my favorite things to do was to climb this tree down the street from where we live. And I would climb it and sit in it for hours, and I would draw. And then the other thing I loved to do was lay in the grass and look at the clover and find four-leaf clovers. I found a ton of them, and I would give them to my mommy. So that was Alaska. Then we moved to Utah, and that's when David started school. So I don't know what year that was. If I was born in 68, it must have been about 78. I don't know. But I do remember Utah being a blast too. We had this great house on top of a hill, and I had my own room, and I had this big canopy bed and yellow curtains, and I could see the mountain from my bedroom. We had a big backyard and our first dog. Well, we had a dog in Alaska, but he died. So that was Strike. That was my dog, and he was awesome. He was a wire-haired fox terrier who I loved. And in Utah, we used to we would play all day. Again, when I think of Utah, I think of playing. My friends and I rode our bikes everywhere. We went through the woods down to the mall. We would go shopping. We would go to the movies. We would get candy together. It was incredible. We had so much fun, so much freedom there. One of my friends had a trampoline. Another friend had a pool. There was a lady down the street that had a farm, and we got to see a horse be birthed. And one of the things we used to do in Utah was frogs. And the reason that your Nana is afraid of frogs is because we used to shoot frogs out of cannons and do crazy things with frogs. And I'm sure I just hated the feeling of them. So those are some of my first memories of Utah. I remember I was in 6th grade when I left there. My last year was in 6th grade. We had a brand new school, and I knew I was moving to Germany. So there were some very unique memories there. In fact, in 5th grade or 4th grade, a girl got ran over by a car at my school. she was in the wrong place in a parking lot and a car backed up over her. And I remember that being very traumatic for us. Yeah, that was a big memory. I had my first boyfriend. His name was Bobby. He would carry my books and give me a kiss on the cheek, and he had really cute freckles. I didn't do any sports there. We were just always playing. David did sports. He was in soccer. There was a time in Utah when he disappeared too. His very first day going to school, he was walking home with his friends, and he took a detour with his friends, and they went and played somewhere, and we couldn't find him, and the entire school was looking for him. The principal, the whole town was looking for Dave. And my father had a little Fiat convertible, and my mom was driving it around looking for him, and when she parked at the top of the hill, she forgot to put the emergency brake on, and the car rolled down the hill and went underneath the trailer, and my dad's first and only convertible died. And Dave got in a lot of trouble. Thank God he was okay. We were worried that he had gone to this place fishing with his friends that was around some water, and he could have drowned. So it was so good that he was okay. But yeah, he got in a lot of trouble. My best friends were Tammy and Stephanie Green, who I've been in touch with recently. And they lived right next door, and they had the pool. And life was good. It was a really, really, really good time. That was my childhood. Those were the fun years. Those were the playing years. So that's that.